Hey everybody, it's Neil with the Dastardly Gentleman. And with me I have Frank. Say hi, Frank.
Hi, how's it going?
You remember how to do one of these things, Frank?
I know how to do all these things because I am never not a day where I'm not making somebody mad. So let's make somebody mad today.
That's true. That is true. Here, let's turn off the topic real quick because we're gonna. No, hold on. Okay. So, you don't know. So we've been gone for a while. We apologize, but we've been rebranding.
Look,
Not
we're
well, not
not
re-
we're not gone. We're still here. We just haven't podcasted in a few days.
That's what I meant. I mean, people that solely listen to us via the iTunes and via the Google Plays, if you were concerned about us, there are multiple avenues in which you can get a hold of us. Because, I mean, we say it every freaking podcast. So, if you haven't been paying attention, and you want to hear more and see more, I'm doing this in the beginning this time. You can mail us at mail@dashforthegentleman.com. You can visit our website, www.dashthegentleman.com, or you can jump on our Discord. We can give you the details on that as well. It's also in our YouTube description. But yeah, we've been getting messages from people saying, "Hey, where have you been?" You know?
Yeah, it's kind of nice to actually get like some community feedback, being like, hey, I want to know what. I love getting messages and emails and stuff where people are like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, oh my god, people actually want to know my opinion.
Right?
That's awesome. I mean, I appreciate that. So the only problem is that I have an opinion on everything, and most of the time people don't like it.
I mean, most of the time people just want to hear what they already think, which is ridiculous. Come on now. I mean, I had a discussion with somebody recently. It was about religion. I won't go into it, but like, I get to a point in it, and they're like, "I'm done talking to you."
Yeah,
like,
well, you can't. You have to have you have to go into like a religious discussion with like a particular mindset or like a set of like very rigid ground rules, being like you need to detach yourself from this discussion and not think that I am mocking you.
well, yeah.
And then you, as the orator, have to not fucking mock the person.
Of
I
course.
mean, like, that
I
is
mean,
also important.
That is obviously not conducive to a reasonable discussion. Obviously, Ronald.
Obviously.
So, yeah, I mean, like, I went during that discussion, I'm like, okay, well, what do you think? Oh, okay, well, here's what I think. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm not saying you're,
I'm not saying you're stupid, but I am going to make my rebuttal in crayon so it's easier for you to understand.
Listen, I don't do that. You do that, Frank.
Look, no one ever pretended like I was a super nice person. Okay? No one.
So, yeah, and it just got to a point where, like, it was a really good discussion. It was like, okay, this is what I think. Oh yeah, that's really smart. I didn't really think about that. I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, this is that, and they're like, well, this is what I think. I'm like, oh, that's really good too. But did you ever hear about this? Okay, we're done talking. What? Whoa, what happened?
I have no rebuttal, so I'm shutting this discussion down.
I
From
don't.
2016.
I don't want to hear any more about what you have to say.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
I thought it was going well. Kind of pissed me off, actually.
Well, you should probably learn how to do rhetoric better then.
Rhetoric.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean.
Rhetoric is the art of convincing people.
Oh, I'm very convincing.
Obviously not.
It's hard to convince people that are very.
I have
very
never
stuck in their
been shut
ways.
out of a religious argument. And I am much more facetious and vicious and extreme than you are.
That is very true, and that is very surprising to me because I tend to,
I don't know what he means by that.
it's surprising to me. I tend to at least be empathetic to somebody else's thoughts and views. You're like, nah, fuck that.
You could think that if your head was an empty abscess, but I like to think with my own brain, not someone else's brain.
See how okay, the only way I could see that not being a shut down argument is because you piss somebody off so much they want to fight you, So they're gonna try and bulldoze you by raising their voice. Like, well, here's what I think.
You gotta talk quieter and say meaner things.
Yeah.
So now they have to listen.
Wait, what did you say? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. Tell us more. I mean, we've got like a very niche audience and a couple fans that are vocal about it, but they're very vocal in like a private sense. You know, you only talk to one of us, or you only like, you catch us on the street, or, you know.
Yeah, just on the street throwing out gang signs.
Well, dude,
And we're like, what up?
I've run into two fans out here since I moved back to Havasu. Like, two fans well, one I never met before, and the other one I've known for a while, but I didn't know he was a fan. And both of them are like, hey man, your show is great. I really love that one. I'm like, cool. You probably should have said something about it. So
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to know.
Because to be fair, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm complaining, but it gets discouraging not knowing that people actually care. But also, we need to know that you care because we want to do more of the stuff you care about, you know? So, one of the fans was like, you know what, I'm not going to pay for anything. I'm not going to give you guys any money. But I like your show. I'm like...
That is totally okay.
I'm fine with that. Never required it. But...
Free admission.
I mean, this show's always going to be free. I mean, if we get huge, maybe we'll throw some ads down your throat. Who knows? But that's not going to happen. Because we're not going to get huge.
Huge!
So, yeah, I mean, you don't have to pay, but when you hear something great, or you don't hear something great, I mean, if you disagree, just fucking talk to us as a whole so we know, and other people know that, you know, people are listening. That being said, let's talk about things. Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright. Topic starter number 1. We gotta talk about social media. Oh man,
I gotta go.
I totally jacked up this region thing here.
Why do we even do this? Why do we have a show? You know? I mean, production level. Should I get you a Etch-a-Sketch?
You know what? Fuck it. It's fine.
So the Etch-a-Sketch is a go, is what you're telling me.
It's fine. So social media. So Frank showed me a really interesting video today, which I already agreed with, but it's nice to know that other people think it, about social media. And it's interesting that there was a analogy that somebody put into it. Social media has become the tobacco industry of our age, of our generation. Explain that a bit, Frank.
So, you know, you have places like Facebook and Twitter and the other social media outlets that have conducted tests, samples, examples, and stratagems to promote addiction in social media so that you keep scrolling and clicking on crap like that. And it gives you like whenever like you get fed the same like kind of social media bits that you approve of, it can like, you know, and you are effectively rewarded for it. It starts to trigger your body to release endorphins into your brain. It's endorphins, right?
Right. No, it's
the endorphins in your
cortisol.
Can't remember. Cortisol. Yeah. Starts giving you that feel good every time that you find something that you really like on social media. And so like you end up becoming addicted to that feeling, and then it perpetuates it. And the next thing you know, like you check your phone like 150 times a day, and that becomes your life. You become a social media consumer.
Well,
that is your hobby.
It's more than just an addiction. It's more than just a feel-good thing. The cortisol is basically a drug in itself. Like, it's an addictive substance that your body produces. You want that nice feeling, but if you don't get that nice feeling, you start stressing out about it. So you naturally start looking at your phone every 15 minutes because your body's like, I really need that bump, that feeling again. I didn't
scratch that itch, man. Scratch that itch.
Why didn't my last post get any likes? Did I say something wrong? Is it me? You know?
Fuck, I gotta look for more pictures of cats.
Maybe.
I got needs, man. I got needs. I got kitty cat needs.
Maybe when I take the picture, if I turn my head this way, this is my better side. You know, I mean, like, it stresses you the fuck out. And to be honest, I've been doing Facebook for a very long time, and most of us have. because there's what did the stats say? There are now as many Facebook
2
users
billion people.
as the Christian religion.
Yep.
That is insane. So, I mean, a good portion of the planet is doing it, and I've been doing it for a long time. But I got to a point where it's like, you know, you start worrying about what people think of you. You start having to second guess everything you ever say because you've got 300 plus people watching your every word because they got nothing better to do and you got nothing better to do. And it's like I've pissed off a lot of people by just openly posting my views, and lost a lot of friends. And you can't take that shit back, for one. And for two, it's none of their fucking business. I mean, if somebody wants to know, they'll ask you, or you'll have a discussion about it. But just out onto the fucking internet, and you're like, oh fuck, I gotta read that shit. Oh, now I think less of that person. Fuck me. Next, you know. So I stopped posting on social media altogether because it pissed me off, and other people pissed me off. I didn't want to read other people's fucking soapboxy shit. You know? Like, I don't. I mean...
No, I 100% agree, because, like, you know, it's like you get, like, you know, your aunt's second cousin all of a sudden, like, throws out some, like, really inane gibberish on Facebook, and they're like, you know what I mean? You're like, no, I don't even... I mean, most of that wasn't even really a sentence, let alone actually having, like, any kind of, like, real thought process to it. And like, and for some reason, like, I used to have Facebook, you know, like everyone else on the planet. I haven't like been on my Facebook account. I mean, I get on it periodically because there are some people that seems to be the only way that they'll get a hold of me is on Facebook. So I check it like once a month maybe. And then I was using it whenever we were promoting it on the channel, but you know, it's doo-doo, so we don't really do that very much. But then even when I was on Facebook, I never really gave too much of a shit about what people's opinions of the things that I said were, because, you know, funny enough, behind the keyboard, I'm still me, and I still don't care what you think. So, I mean, whenever, like, I'm like, can you believe this inane garbage? And people are like, that's my worldview, and I'm like, that's very sad. You should probably get out. You should probably read a book instead of using it to balance your TV. You know?
Yeah, people don't really respond to that very well.
You know, and that's great, because most of them were people that, you know, they like, you get friended by friends of friends, because it's like that giant interconnecting weave. And then it was always those, like, because the people who really knew me, like my friends and my close family, and they're like, yeah, he's like that. And so, like, whenever, like, you know, if they would post a view and I would post a contrary opinion, we would have like a discussion about it,
right,
or we would be kind of like civil about it while we're having a discussion about it. But then, like, if it was always the people that were like the outer fringes of like my friends' friends that wanted to fight with me, like for absolutely nothing, and then didn't want to have a discussion. They just wanted to yell, and I'm like, I am going to destroy you. And you don't even know. And so, like, you know, I'm like, hold on, let's bust out the facts and let's have a discussion. And then I just, you know, you piece them apart. My favorite thing to do was to like copy and paste somebody's little anti-me diatribe and then answer them point by point in their own post.
Yeah, I
love doing that.
Oh yeah,
I love doing that. But I don't even social media anymore. I just can't stand it. I mean, like, it's because like it's like it's all like the same. It's the same thing. And like, you know, fine, you can say it if you want. I don't care. Make fun of me, but that it is so up to the ballsack in fake news. And I know that has become like this almost stupid, laughable word. But Facebook is practically nothing but fake news.
Oh yeah, everybody thinks they're
so whatever
fucking journalist.
Yeah, whenever like somebody's like, you know, they post something and they like, you know, like, well, this you know, this article from BuzzFeed says that, you know, Donald Trump just killed 4 people behind the White House. I mean, he probably didn't.
Right.
You know, I mean, he I mean, that's, I mean, could you cite some sources? Did they cite any sources? Well, no. It's probably not fucking true then.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to have that discussion with people that are close to me all the time, because they're like, did you see that North Korea is getting ready to start firing more missiles? I'm like, where'd you read that? Well, Facebook. Did you cite any sources? I mean, did you New York Times? Did you look, CNN, MSNBC? I mean, they're not super credible, but I mean, like, at least they have more credibility than BuzzFeed.
I mean, it's kind of their job, not like a hobby.
Right. I mean, like, it's something that they're actually more or less responsible for, sort of telling the truth, at least in shades. So, I mean, when somebody tells me that they saw the news on Facebook, I'm like, I don't believe that. My first thing to do is Google it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to figure out, especially like if you've got a phone in your hand that you're probably using to watch Facebook. You could probably just go to the internet app and then Google it and find out if it's true. I
mean, how hard is that shit?
It's pretty fucking hard.
See,
apparently.
I've been criticized a lot lately for Googling just about everything. I mean, somebody will say some asinine shit to me, or they'll just say something that I don't think is true, but it could be, And then I'll sit there and be like, hold on a second, I've never heard that before. Who did you hear that from? Well, I've always known it to be that way. Like, I had a discussion about...
That's the most disturbing answer I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's how I've always known it to be.
I've heard that a lot. I mean, like, we got that because it was back when they were pulling down statues, and people were freaking out left, right, and center about it. And we got the, people were posting on Facebook, well, they're all war criminals. I'm like, no, not really. And then, I'm not even kidding. They said that shit. Well, I've always known that to be true. Did you? Like, from where?
where I
mean, I'm curious because even in the annals of the Civil War history that have been written by the fucking North, they don't even call them goddamn war criminals. There was only one war criminal, and he was from the North.
I mean,
looking at you, Sherman.
Like, okay, so we had a discussion about what's worse for you, sugar or salt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, every documentary I've ever seen, every fucking, study I've ever read says sugar is by far worse for you. I mean, salt's not great, but, I mean, if you want an early grave, just fucking pound sugar all day long. And, it was an argument at first. And then I'm like, okay, let me break it down for you scientifically why it's worse. And then they got to the point where they thought I was just being condescending and insulting their intelligence. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to save your life here. I mean, this is a big deal. If you don't understand what's worse for you and you're like, well, I mean, I'm going to eat pastries and fucking snort sugar all day long. At least it's not as bad as salt. I'll just kick back on the salt intake. You're going to die or you're going to get diabetes.
That's like the people that are like, I'll take four Big Macs and 3 supersized of fries, but I'll take a Diet Coke because I want to come. Because I'm watching my weight.
Yeah,
it's like, are you? I mean, I'm not taking down the. I'm gonna cut down on the salt so that my heart doesn't give out. But I'm gonna have my heart give out because it's crushed under 17 layers of fat.
Right.
I mean, hey, however you want to go. That's all I'm saying.
That's another thing. Everybody wants an out. Everybody wants, like, oh, well, I guess that's bad, but this is good. So be a glutton. I mean, no, it's not okay. None of it's okay. You got to do that shit in moderation.
Everything in moderation, except for orgies.
Well, I mean, depends on who it's with.
No. All orgies are good orgies. Period.
I don't agree with you.
You are. Then you know what? Then you're fucking stupid. How about that? How about that? I have always known this to be true. Orgies are good for you.
Let me Google that.
You can never not have enough fucking. Is all I'm saying. What are you doing?
Googling it.
Yep. No, I have never not known fucking to be the best thing ever. I mean, like, you need to be slathered in hedonism central. Now cut down on the sugar, cut down the salt, because that doesn't make you as fast. You gotta go from bed to bed. You can pour the wine on yourself, but don't drink it. It's bad for you. what I'm saying?
No.
God damn you. God damn you. You should support me in this. What's wrong with you?
Let me ask you a question, Frank.
Oh, great. There we go.
So, I've been repeatedly told as of late because I feel like, personally, I don't know. I'm not even going to say it.
Here we go.
The phrase, don't believe everything you read on the internet. What do you feel about that phrase?
I feel like the irony of that, saying don't believe everything you read on the internet, is that you're going to Google everything that you read on the internet to find out whether or not it's true.
Right?
Because you're like, do cats really not sweat? Fuck. Or like what do you? I mean, so it depends on the source though. Because I mean, like if you get it from if you're like Facebook says cats don't sweat, it must be true. No, it's not true. It's not true at all. So then you Google it, you'll see Encyclopedia Britannica says cats really don't sweat. You're like, oh shit, cats don't sweat.
I found
Scientific
it on Pinterest.
Yeah, these scientific resources and magazines, articles, and theses tell you that cats don't sweat, and they also hate having their picture taken. It steals your soul.
Wait, I thought that was. Never mind.
Do it.
We're not gonna do that.
I have fucking trouble tongue hearing you. I don't know what you're gonna say, but it can't be good.
Oh man.
I mean, if I agree with that. Don't believe everything that you read on the internet, but at the same time, like you have to couch it with the idea that like you're probably gonna fact check it on the internet.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's what people were telling me. Like, don't believe everything you read on the internet. I'm like, I don't. But
yeah, I don't. Here's the thing too. The funny part is I've had that same argument whenever I was on the previous project. They said, we can't believe everything we read on the internet. I'm like, dude, I'm reading it on PolitiFact.
Yeah, I'm reading on.
I mean, their
sources.
job is to verify information. I mean, like if you can't believe it on PolitiFact, you pretty much can't believe anyone.
I mean, not only that, it's like you read it on PolitiFact and you're like, holy shit, that seems a little far-fetched. Let me read it on at least 2 other news sources to corroborate.
And PolitiFact's just like Encyclopedia Britannica, where like they cite their sources.
Yes.
So it's like, here are the things that we about this particular subject. These are the things that we read about it that we can cite this information from, and so you can click on those and you can read the article. Oh shit, that is true, or oh shit, that isn't true. Whatever. And I love whenever people are like, somebody I talked to back in Arizona, we're having a discussion. Oh, what the hell are we talking about? I think we're talking about the Korean War, and I had made some comment, and she says, well, that's not true. And she says, where did you read that? And I'm like, in the encyclopedia. And she's like, well, that's just the encyclopedia. I'm like, yeah, that's the encyclopedia. I mean, like, that. What? Hold up. I can't. I don't know what that means. I mean, you're killing me. What does that mean? How? And people wonder why I quote fiction anymore, because it's like, well, I can't believe anything else. I mean, like, apparently, if I quote anything else, y'all think I'm fucking making stuff up. But then if I quote somebody from someone who actually is fucking making stuff up, you fucking believe it. And I don't understand anymore. I don't understand people anymore. You tell them facts and they don't.
I mean,
Help me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, man. I don't get it. I don't.
Chaos reigns.
I don't get it. I don't understand why it's so difficult to like just use your fucking head. I mean, it's not hard to research things. It takes time, but it's not hard. Most people are lazy. They don't want to give the time because they'd rather put the time into something else that's more enjoyable. But I mean, knowing what the fuck is going on in your city, in your state, in your country, it's kind of important. I mean, you do kind of have an effect on it. Not much of one, but you should at least be informed. Is what I'm trying to say.
You should. I mean, at least read your local newspaper.
Something. And that brings us
or whatever. I mean, like anything. Be informed.
Yes, indeed. So what's going on in the world, Frank?
Oh my God, what isn't going on right now? It's like complete chaos. I'm at the point where I'm almost just gonna turn on I turn on CNN and MSNBC and Fox and everything else just to see if we still have a country left. Just to see like if it's not like the East Coast has been since reduced to rubble.
It's like that right now. I mean, it's pretty bad. I mean, what just happened at this Helsinki summit, Frank?
I don't even know. I mean, like, look, we try not to get super political on this show, but I mean, let's be honest. Right now, this shit is exploding. I mean, because like you got, man, I'm struggling. Okay, so you got the current El Presidente is over there, and he gets asked a blatant, simple yes or no question, and then he kind of hedges on it. And then it's actually less like hedging and more like he kind of like backed up so he can get like a running start and then go full bore on blaming the U.S. for Russia's not involvement. Not only were they not involved, but they were super. It was actually our fault, and we're blaming the wrong people. Like even though everyone and at this point, the world is pretty much like, no, Russia did that. They definitely did that. And then he comes back and then. Oh my God! So he comes back, and if he could have stuck to his guns, he probably would have been able to ride out the hate wave. But then he comes back, and people are mad because they're mad. They're mad all the time. It's 2018. People are fucking mad about everything. I mean, you're like, man, that seagull is really pretty. Like, did you just assume how beautiful that seagull was? I'm fucking protesting on Twitter, and so everyone's mad about everything all the time. All the time. There's never a moment where you can say anything on the internet or anywhere. You can't go out in the middle of an open field and say, huh. Well, that's somebody coming down your throat about being fucking offended. So you got the most offensive person on the planet, says some offensive shit, some stupid shit, and then comes back, and he's surprised when everyone's offended. First of all, he's surprised that everyone's offended when he's already the most hated person on the planet. It blows my mind that he was surprised. It's like you're on fire, and then you're surprised whenever someone throws a bucket of water on you. Bah! Bah! I can't believe you did that. I can't believe this is the result of my actions. And the disconnect is fucking unreal. And then people yelling at him, and then so he wants to kind of walk it back, be like, well, I didn't mean he wouldn't do it. I meant that I don't see why he didn't say he would. Why would they do it? I meant, why wouldn't they do it? Because it's still their fault. So, I mean, so here's two parts. One, you're on national television and you just lied to literally the entire fucking world. Two, you stood on a podium right next to the guy. This makes you look like the biggest bitch on the planet. And you straight up capitulate to him, more or less kiss his boots right next to him. And then whenever you're 4,000 fucking miles away, then you walk it back. And from there, you're the safety and comfort of your own home /country /army. You're like, nah, that guy's a bitch. And he's probably sitting in the Kremlin being like, I don't know what I expected. Because nobody else is fucking surprised. And then he walks back the walk back. No, I didn't say that. It's the U.S. intelligence community should feel terrible about what they've said. I'm just like, the roller coaster of emotions in the last 24 hours it's been amazing. Like I splash myself in the face and be like, is this reality? Where are we at in this world right now? Oh my God, it's been tumultuous to say the least. You know what I'm saying?
No, I feel you, man. And the thing that blows my mind is just like, people are still saying he's not such a bad guy. Like, that's the thing is like, when you're asked a yes or no question, and both of those answers will get you fucked over one way or the other. Why not just take both? Also, neither at the same time. Like, I'm gonna say yes right now, but later on I'm gonna be like, just kidding, and then later on I'm gonna be like, just kidding to that, just kidding.
Do I get take back? Do I get take backs for what I said?
He's not stupid. He's acting stupid. He's playing dumb because he didn't want to answer the fucking question. So
here's the thing. At what point is he not acting anymore? Because he's pretty much been stupid the entire time.
Look, he's good at what he does. And what he does
is what? Put his name on stuff and then claim credit for other people's work?
He's a salesman.
He's a sociopath.
Well, yes. It's very disturbing how often those two go hand in hand.
And I would like to put this little caveat in there. Among the two of us, Neil is vastly more liberal than I am, and I'm much more conservative than Neil is, and we're both kind of like, what is happening? What is happening right now in this political climate? It's crazy.
And that's the thing is like
people gone fucking insane.
When he came home, both sides were pissed. It's like, okay,
incredibly pissed. Holy shit!
Because conservatives were like, okay, we were with you the entire way. We were with you. We gave you every fucking benefit of the doubt that we possibly could give you. Oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And you sat there right next to the guy. And you fucking couldn't do it. You couldn't denounce him.
It was here is your golden chalice. They're literally giving it to you on a silver fucking platter. How much do you want to bet that reporter, Dollars to Donuts, was paid by the Republicans to be like, this is an easy softball question.
Underhand.
All he has to do is just say, yeah, no, Totes did it. Don't do it again. And he couldn't do it. Not only could he not do it, but then he swung hard in the opposite fucking direction. And was like, the U.S. should feel terrible. What?
See, one of the things that me and Frank have talked about, especially when it came to Obama, is the thing that sent Frank over the edge about Obama. And what was it? It was the disapproval of Americans' handling of something. What was it?
Whatever. Arizona passed SR 171, and because there was a few things, because there's not a lot about Obama that I particularly liked, but like one of the things was whenever Arizona was arming citizens because the drug cartels kept coming and killing American farmers in Arizona, right. And so we started arming we're not arming farmers, but we were just like, you can carry anything, concealed, unconcealed, whatever. It could be machete, a bazooka, an assault rifle, whatever. Just carry it. I mean, like, because at this point, the cartels are coming over, the Mexicans are coming over, and they're killing people. You have the right to protect yourself with anything that you can. A rock, a brick, a machine gun, a tank, whatever. Just, defend yourself. And then Vicente Fox, who's the president of Mexico, came over at the time, and he told Arizona what they weren't going to do. He said, like, Arizona is going to take back their laws governing the safety of the border, and they're going to do it right now. And then Obama's just out there like, beautiful, beautiful. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. A standing president does not get to sit there and applaud a foreign power telling one of these United States of America what the fuck to do. It doesn't even matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't. I mean, like, short of like, Arizona put in a law that allows us to free reign throw Mexican children into a bonfire. Right. I mean, like, but that wasn't that. I mean, it was about, defending yourself, defending your property. And then having a foreign power come in and tell us what to do. The last time that happened was the fucking War of 1812. So, I mean, we go to war for shit like that.
Right.
I mean, and so here we are, a standing president is giving was applauding a foreign dignitary telling us what we're going to do. No, fuck you.
Describe to me, or tell me how similar that is to what Trump just did.
You know what? I don't. It's the funny part is that with like Obeezy, I'm like, fuck you. That's insane that you would do that. But then like now it's like, with Trumpkin, I'm like, you are so much worse. And I don't, like I said, I don't really like to get super political. We're already doing it. I know we're like balls deep in politics right now, but I mean, come on, dog. I mean, literally everyone on the planet says this guy just attempted to interfere in democracy in order to discredit democracy so that he can basically set up his own oligarchy over in Russia, completely free of moral and ethical obligation. And you basically just sucked his dick in Helsinki in front of fucking literally everyone. The leader of the free world just basically sided with a blossoming dictator.
Yes.
What? I mean, it's funny because like Mexico is just like, basically Mexico wrote a strongly worded letter to Arizona to their mom and dad, you know, be like, you know, your son's beating up my son, and I want him to stop. And Obese was like, mom, you know, or like the bitch aunt that nobody particularly likes, and they're like, oh well, we'll have a talking to him. And it didn't change anything because, you know, Mexico doesn't have the fucking authority. The federal government didn't have the authority. So Arizona's like,
basically,
take care of this. It's like, if you don't want us arming citizens, if you don't want us randomly stopping people that are flying at 110 miles an hour through the middle of the desert and pulling them out of their car because they've got drugs and shit, and you think that that's unfair, you need to take care of your cartel problem. You take care of your cartel problem, and they'll take care of they'll probably like loosen up on some of the guns and shit that they're allowing to have run free reign along the border.
Right.
If you ain't gonna do that, then guess what? Arizona still has a fucking problem.
Arizona has a problem. Arizona put a law in place to solve said problem, or at least make it better. And
yeah,
I mean, it's visceral, but it needed to happen. So, federal government, I mean, there's a problem. Federal government, either step in and help solve the problem, or get the fuck out of the way. Like, you don't get to say, no, you shouldn't do that. Dude, people are dying. Like,
yeah. And here's the thing. That got put into place strictly because Arizona kept asking for assistance repeatedly from the federal government. Help us do something. Help us with negotiations. Help us do this. Help us do that. And then they even put it to a vote whenever I was in Arizona, but like, you know, like, do you want to do this? And overwhelmingly, the fucking state voted for it. Overwhelmingly, we were like, you know, no, we need to arm people because, I mean, people are getting murdered. You know, because the big kicker was this guy who I think it was a horse farmer, was on his ranch in southern Arizona, and there was a truck that was just bahaing through his property, and he wasn't doing anything. He didn't approach him or anything. They saw him, they veered off, they came to him, and they gunned him down. Just because he saw him. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because they had been asking for help from the federal government that entire time. Drugs are going crazy. You know, they're killing people on the border. But then this guy literally didn't do anything, because they've been skirmishing. The cartels have been skirmishing for a long time before then. And then now this American citizen gets gunned down. And so Arizona's like, fine, fuck it. You ain't gonna do anything about it? Fuck you, we'll handle it. And so now everybody's got a gun. And then they're pulling over anybody that looks suspicious. Of course they fucking are. I mean, it's called escalation for a reason. I mean, like, it isn't like a knee-jerk response. I mean, it's small incremental bullshit that's happened over the course of time that's elicited an extreme response. This isn't bizarre. It's not abnormal. And if it's funny, because like, if you tell somebody like in the East, like if you talk to somebody from like, I don't know, fucking Maryland or whatever, they're like, well, that's just racist. You don't know. You're not here. You don't understand what's happening. You don't understand that whenever you're out in the desert and you're like checking on your property, you have the fear of being fucking gunned down for absolutely no goddamn reason whatsoever if you're in southern Arizona. So it's like, you don't get it. You don't have, it'd be like me going over to like Iraq or Afghanistan and being like, you people shouldn't live your lives like that. I have no right to go over there and tell you how to live your life. I have no right to go over there and tell you like what is important to you or what is not important to you.
Yeah.
Just like someone from Maryland or anywhere else doesn't have any right to come over to Arizona and say, you shouldn't be having these guns. You shouldn't be having, you know, these laws enacted to single out these particular groups of people. It sucks. I agree. But I mean, it's an escalation. I mean, it started out as nothing. And then whenever nobody could do anything, Arizona did something rather than just letting their citizens getting gunned down on the street. Or in this case, in the desert.
Yes.
I hate it. I hate that it had to happen. I hate that like the government decided to do nothing. You know, because they should have done something ages ago. Because that's the whole point of having the fucking federal government, was to help with stuff like this. And the federal government didn't do anything. Right. So state law took over. You know, that's what the system's for. And, you know, sorry you don't like it, but I'm not really all that particularly sympathetic.
Yeah. So that's what, you know, that was one of the things that Frank likes to cite about Obama's presidency, about one of the things that, you know, made him despise him. But
yeah, there was insurance.
the insurance was pretty rough. I mean, personally, when it came to the insurance, I thought he was trying to push in the right direction, but somewhere got lost along the way.
Yeah, I agree. See, now that I agree with, because I mean, like, I was like, no, everybody needs that. Absolutely everybody needs, you know, health insurance, but then like, it was like, oh, it's so beautiful and passionate, and then like it kind of went through Congress, and it's like, this is not the same thing that came in. This is not what I was hoping we were going to vote for.
Right. So in comparison, so far, just that one thing that happened, what, 2 days ago now?
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, blows that shit out of the water. Oh my god.
I'm like blown the fuck away. I am 100% blown the fuck away. It's almost numbing. Like, but here's the thing, ever since the beginning of his presidency, it's almost like at this point that you're kind of punch drunk.
Yeah.
Because like he does so much stupid shit, and he says so many terrible, vile, hateful things that you're kind of like, I don't know. I mean, like, you try not to be, because then after a while, like you start to have this expectation, or this lack of understanding, or this lack of expectation of how things should be, and then whenever he does something terrible, you're like, yeah, that sounds all right. And that shouldn't be the response. It should be outrage every time. Because I mean, like, let's just, some of the shit that he said. Oh my god, like now I can't even think of anything. I mean, aside from like, capitulating like to the Trumpkin thing. Why do you hate Trump? Mind control.
You're gonna have
Dr.
to
Michael
have
Napa.
PhD. You're gonna have to elaborate on that, Dr. Michael Napa.
Think about it. Think about mind control. I have thought extensively about mind control, and I would enjoy having said ability.
Mind controlling people off a cliff into lava in Black Rock Mountain.
There's a WoW reference for you. I don't hate Trump. I don't understand him, and I don't think that. I think that he was the swing vote. I think that he was the swing vote that went too far. He was the protest vote, and suddenly he's the president, and now everyone's kind of like, ugh, shit. I'm happy that you're a Democrat.
For you.
What would I be considered? I'm not even really sure. I'm classical liberal, I guess.
You and I both lean, the opposite directions, but we're more centrists than anything.
I guess like it depends. It depends on the mood you catch me in, and it depends on the subject. Because like, if you're like, well, I mean, don't you think that everyone has the right to life? No, I don't. I think that life is a subjective gift.
Subjective gift.
It is. Some people don't deserve it, Neil.
Listen, a lot
That's
of times
all I'm
life
saying.
is an accident.
Sometimes life is an accident. Sometimes I'm the one that has the whiteout.
Wow. Wow. This is...
I respect the office, but that's the problem. I respect the office, but whenever the person that's in the office doesn't respect the office, it's a little galling to be like, oh, it's the president of the United States.
Yeah,
But then, like, he says the most insane things or the most offensive things, and you're like, it's like, that you're the president, right? I mean, you didn't wake up this morning and be like, I still only own hotels. I was kind of like half Bernie.
Yeah,
and
that was all bad.
like, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. Just the first thing I went to. Like, I still only own hotels. That's the best I got. I'm so sorry. And then that's your mindset. How does he not? How does he not respect the office? Oh, I don't know. I mean, like, he just capitulated to a foreign power almost entirely, and then threw the U.S. intelligence community under the bus publicly. He's just not PC. That's putting it mildly.
Just not PC is the least of the problem. I mean, not being able
Israel.
not being able to give a
Is that somewhere between like the toupee and the spray tan in Israel?
An honest, straight answer to a fucking yes or no question is a pretty big problem. I mean, you got.
This is like, did you watch Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
So like, at the end, whenever they're like, are you a god?
Yeah.
So in this case, it was, they were up there, and she asks Trump, did Russia meddle in the election? Well, no. Then protests. When someone asks you if a foreign power interfered in your elections, you say no. Or yes, sorry.
You don't even know.
I can't even do it. No, I'm sorry. I'm unfit for office. I'll have to go.
See,
Shit.
and that's the thing. Is like, okay, not only did you say the wrong answer, but then
Shut up.
you, not you, Trump.
Oh.
Not only did he say the wrong answer, but then he went back on that wrong answer, and then he went back on that on the back. On the
I love
wrong
that.
answer.
I love the spirit of it. Like, how many takes do I get?
It's like, how many times can you give the guy the benefit of the doubt? Like, I am a huge, like, I push benefit of the doubt on everybody. I'm like, look, you know what? They were just having a bad day, whatever. I mean, I'm all about giving people benefit of the doubt because if you don't, then there's no possibility at that point. You're like, fuck that guy. I don't like him. He's done.
Right.
We're done with him.
Mm-hmm.
But benefit of the doubt gives you possibility. We're not talking about a fucking friendship here. We're talking about running the country, for one. And for two, how many fucking chances do you get? Eventually, even with a good friend, it's like, all right, I've given you like 12 fucking chances. You're done. I'm sorry. I can't deal with your shit anymore. I mean, I at this point, I think you're just, not only are you fucking abusing my kindness, but you're also, I think you're doing it on purpose. I think you're just seeing how far you can go to get away with it. And I also think you have an agenda, and I'm catching on to it, but you fucking throw a lie in there every now and then to try and throw me off. So you can't not feel like there's an ulterior motive to, the good of the country. I mean, you look at, for example, we talked about all the trade tariffs that have been put into place. The Chinese trade tariffs. Oh, please tell me all the good he's done. I'm not going to get into that, but the trade tariffs, okay? Chinese trade tariffs. Whole bunch of things were now taxed that were previously not taxed, but make sure you leave Melania's fucking handbag line out of that mix. Make sure that doesn't get taxed. I could totally deny that. Tell me what he's done. Frank, what good has he done?
He's almost guaranteed 100% that we're going to get a Democrat in the next election. CNN won't show it. Okay, cite your sources. But like what though? I mean, I'm all about like exposing somebody's good. I think that everybody can do some good, if even accidentally. Please research it.
Well, the burden is on you.
I'm open to suggestion. I'm 100%. I would love to know about like the good that he's done.
Listen, this is the same shit we were talking about earlier about social media and Facebook. I mean, you come out with a statement, and then you tell us to do the research. No.
Okay, here we go. It's from the Washington Post. The 10 best things Trump has done in his first year in office, by Mark A. Thiessen. So I'll just go from 10 to 1. He enforced President Barack Obama's red line against Syria's use of chemical weapons. That is true. He did do that. He managed to completely ineffectively hit an airstrip that practically was being unused. Well done. He scared a lot of people. He upset some folks. But I mean, he did though. He did actually, he did reinforce the red line about not using chemical weapons, which in turn has actually made it so that NATO and what the fuck is the other one? Whatever. So the NATO and the European Union, etc., have to elicit some kind of response, which they haven't because they're NATO and they don't do that.
Right.
He is taking a surprisingly tough line with Russia. That's a lie. He has recognized Well, okay. Now, at the time of writing this, that probably wasn't a lie. I mean, it probably is now, though. Economy, you can't claim because the economy was probably 2 or 3 presidents ago, and it's just snowballing to effect. Now, that's mostly true, except for in cases like George W., because George W. managed to screw the pooch on a whole lot of the economy. He recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital, which was arguably not actually. Let's see, I'll read the whole thing, though. 4 American presidents promised to do it, but only one actually did. There's a reason why a lot of them didn't want to do it. This is why the American people elected Trump. He does what he promises to do for better or worse. Also not true. In this case, definitely for the better. Even Jeb Bush tweeted his approval. It's because Jeb Bush is a fanatic. He withdrew from Paris Climate Agreement. That's not good. He got NATO allies to kick in $12 billion more toward our collective security. Decades of pleading by the Bush and Obama administration failed to get NATO allies to meet their financial commitments to the alliance, but Trump's tough talk and reticence to affirm America's Article 5 commitment did the trick. That is true. I mean, he did do that. I mean, like, if he's getting NATO to pay more, I'm all about it. I think that, honestly, we probably shouldn't even be part of it. He has virtually eliminated the Islamic State's physical caliphate. I think a lot of that's some Kurds. I think a lot of the Kurdish could probably be like have a lot of positive influence on that. He admitted he was wrong on Afghanistan and reversed Obama's disastrous withdrawal. In rare admission, Trump declared, "My original instinct was to pull out, but all my life I've heard that decisions are much different when you sit behind the desk in the Oval Office. A hasty withdrawal would create a vacuum for terrorists." That is true. He enacted historic tax and regulatory reform that has unleashed economic growth. That is going to eventually be true because it hasn't really taken effect yet. I know that because we just did our taxes, and they actually, where we're getting our taxes, we're actually giving us the pre and post. So, like, here's where you're getting your taxes. Here are your taxes right now, and then this is what it's going to be like next year. So, like, you can actually see the increase. So, that one, because the problem was that Obeezy and the other Democrats in office are more about taking more money from you in order to redistribute wealth, Robin Hood style. Except for the differences is that both of them use guns, and guns and more bows, and they would rather shiv you for your money. He is installing conservative judges who will preside for decades, which is not necessarily good. With his appointment of Neil M. Gorsuch, Trump secured a conservative majority in the Supreme Court, and he is moving at record pace to fill the federal space's appeals court with young conservative judges. That's always the problem I've always had with being able to appoint judges as a standing president, is that you do it with a political power base of your party in mind rather than the qualifications of the person, or in the idea or notion of spreading the the opinions of dissent, so that if you have hang on, I'm trying to sway you, keep an open mind. No, we always have an open mind about everything. I mean, my mind isn't really super dissuaded from the fact that he's arguably, not even really arguably at this point, the worst standing president in the history of the United States. Go ahead.
Hey man, you're always welcome over here. I mean, I apologize for getting a little worked up, but I mean that we talked about it earlier on the Facebook thing. It's people will spout their opinions and not back it up with facts. So to come out and say he's done good, and then name off some buzzwords like economy and jobs, and then you tell us to do the research. I mean, it doesn't. You can't. I don't know. What do you think, Frank? Am I overreacting?
No, I think it's fine. I mean, it gives us something to talk about. I mean, I appreciate that. We got the chance to actually go through something as this obviously conservative hit list of things that they feel that he's responsible for. Most of them he's not. So most of this, I argue would be not things that I would be impressed with. I mean, the number one thing is that the number one good thing that it's happened for Trump, or that he's accomplished, is that he was inaugurated as the president. I mean, that doesn't really count, does it? I mean, you actually have to be president in order to do things presidential.
Right.
So, I mean, the fact that you became president shouldn't really be in your top 10. And all this other stuff is, I mean, it's arguable
subjective.
Whether or not he was. It's a lot of it is very subjective, because I mean, the guy who wrote this obviously was more conservative leaning and obviously thinks Trump's a superhero, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, you can have your because it's better for you to do research than me to tell you. That's arguable. He withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement. I think that's that, to me, that's not a positive.
Right.
He approves of the Keystone Pipeline. I agree with that, but I mean that's kind of not really the same. He's not presidential. You're absolutely correct there. Well, that's something that we can definitely agree on.
I mean,
He's taking a surprisingly tough line of Russia, but he's not though. And then the thing with Israel moving Israel's capital. I mean, like, look at what it did. It's great. It's great to recognize. It's great that a foreign or a non-Israeli power has recognized Jerusalem as being Israel's capital. That's great for Israel. But I mean, look what it did. Like immediately following it, people dying by the scores. Like immediately, it wasn't even overnight. It was within the hour.
Right.
So I mean, like, what good did it really do?
Yeah, we can go on for hours about that. And
We're politically minded.
Very much so. And if you want to, I mean, we're going to move on from this specific topic. But if you want to, please subscribe and send us what you think, and we'll talk about it at length throughout the days. But let's move on to our next topic.
Woo!
Protesting.
I hope it's a good one. Oh.
This is our main topic for the night.
If God is gay, why are we so cute? Also subjective.
I mean, there's some.
I love that other one though. Stop premature Christmas decorating, motherfucker! It's not even Halloween yet. God.
So
that makes me crazy. That straight up fucking makes me want to fight somebody.
So within a day, actually, it was the same day that President Trump came back from the Helsinki summit. There was a protest out in front of the White House, was there not?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, like I said, people came back and they were mad as hell. He came back and people were mad as hell. I love the idea of a protest.
I do as well. I mean, it's our First Amendment right.
Right. And it's funny because it's like I agree to the right for somebody to protest, even if I'm like, you are fucking retarded. Like the whenever like God, like 99% of the protests at like UC Berkeley that just make me want to fight somebody. But I'm like, it's your right to do it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. The irony being the people that do protests at like UC Berkeley and a lot of the protests that you see in New York are about not wanting people to be able to express their First Amendment rights. And I'm like, that the reason why you're able to have this dumbass protest is because you have the First Amendment right to free speech. I'm not saying, but I'm saying, you should probably just let that door just kind of like stay open. That's all I'm saying. Fucking stupid.
I mean, that's the thing too. Is it's not just your right to free speech, your right to organize a protest. It's also your prerogative to not hurt people and not steal shit. I mean,
right. You have the right to have an opinion. You have the right to be able to express that opinion publicly in a public sphere. But you don't have the right to hit somebody that disagree with you with a fucking brick.
Right.
Or like set fire to a building of somebody who doesn't agree with you, or like like some of this like scary shit that people do, where like they set a fucking limo on fire and said like this is the beginning, and the irony being that like it was Antifa that burned the limo, and the real amusement. I mean, it's not amusing because it sucks for the guy, but like the real funny part is that it was an immigrant that voted for Hillary. I'm like, bitches, he's on your side, and you burned his shit down. I mean, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's like the irony of like the protests and riots, and whenever like they had the protests and riots in Ferguson, where we're like, God, we're mad about we want community safety, so we're obviously gonna level the community and burn all these buildings down.
Yeah, we're gonna become.
You live there.
The biggest part of the problem that we're trying to.
Yeah,
fight.
I mean, like you fucking live there. I mean, like, what is wrong with you? That when I saw the protests in Ferguson, this is like it's the example, and they're like, we live in this community. We want this community to be safe. Burn down that Little Caesars. Yeah, no, that one.
That'll
I mean,
show
like,
them.
It's like, who are you hurting? Meanwhile, like the cops are like over there, and they're like, no, I don't live here. Fuck it.
I mean,
let it burn. I mean, like it's easier to put out fires than there's nothing left.
Yeah, pretty much. So here's my thing that I wanted to talk about specifically with protesting. We'll go more into detail on other problems with protesting, but the problem I think is the worst when it comes to protesting is our lack of ability to protest. Sure, we have a First Amendment right that guarantees that we're not going to get arrested for doing it if we do it peacefully.
Or shot.
Also, yeah, if we do it peacefully and also, have a permit and all that good shit. But the American workforce, the American way of life nowadays, in fact, probably for the last, 20, 30 years, easy, you go and protest on a weekday, you lose your damn job. I mean,
there's a possibility for you to lose a lot more than that too. It just depends on who recognizes you. I mean, like that's why, on one hand, it's like I understand the people that put on masks and stuff to do protests.
Yeah,
because it's like you want to stand up for what's right for you, and I get that. And then God forbid somebody sees you.
Right.
And so it's like what is the I'm against protest zones. I don't know what that means. What's a protest zone? Look it up.
Google it, Frank.
I'm Googling it. You go ahead. You continue on while I Google protest zone.
Sure. Yeah, and I agree with the whole masks thing because, I mean, let's say your employer or your landlord or whoever doesn't feel the same way as you do. Yeah, you're more than just fired. You're blacklisted. You're kicked out of your house. You're just owned by your family, stuff like that. But, I mean, if you feel like you're standing up for what's right and, demonstrating your First Amendment right, you shouldn't be that punished, in my opinion, for it. I mean, you should be praised for, I don't know, it pisses me off. I would love to go protest. I mean, you see on Reddit all the time about, oh, more people need to stand up for this. I'm gonna type that onto Reddit and let people know that I agree, and you go do it.
Yeah,
it's crazy because there's a lot of shit I would love to protest. I'd love to be in the group and be like, what, this isn't fucking right. I got bills to pay. I got a family to support.
And it's like you can't lose. I mean, that's the thing. It's like there's an entire possibility of you losing everything, and Mr. Nat or Dr. Napa just pointed out, free speech zones are basically public squares that are set aside by Department of Homeland Security where people can go protest publicly. I mean, it's stupid that we even feel like we would need to have that. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't need to have that. I mean, you can't go protest at a mall, because it's not a public space. It's not a public space.
Probably on.
You should be able to go. I mean, you shouldn't have to be like, you go stand on Square A and Square B, and those are the ones that you've rented, and then that's where you can have your protest. No, I'm going to stand out in the street. Thanks, though.
Yeah, no.
Or on the sidewalk, or whatever.
I totally agree because, I mean, you want your voice to be heard. If they can zone off where you can speak your mind, they could just be like, you go do that over here. We're gonna go over here and not listen to you.
Yeah, exactly. Easy. So it's like so where are the protesters today? Okay, we'll use the other door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, and I'm completely fine with protesters as long as they don't get completely fucking insane.
Yeah, they don't stop fucking traffic on the 405. Right. Shit like that.
Yeah. It's like you can yell, you can hold your signs, but if you touch me, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even matter what you're protesting. Don't fucking touch me. I mean, that's about everything. I don't like when people bump into me in the supermarket. If the aisles are too narrow, let alone some asshole who's wearing a mask and is yelling and then grabs my shoulder, I will knife you in front of God and everyone, and I don't even care. I go from I go from I believe in your First Amendment rights to I've just slain you, and really my meter doesn't. There's not really a middle ground here. There's a protest every day. Well, yeah, because it's 2018. Everyone's pissed off about everything.
Oh yeah, I protest
everything.
I know that Jared protests every day, but passive aggressively.
he protests by crop dusting his coworkers,
upper decking the toilets at work.
This upper deck goes out to my homies on the border.
But yeah,
now it's about the border. Is there other protests about the border now? Oh, is it because of the fractured families thing?
Okay, that's a good point. Let's talk about that, Frank. What do you think about the whole separating families and of immigrants and stuff like that.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. Because like I partly get it, because we were talking about there was actually they were talking about this at work the other day. You know, they're criminals, and I get that they're criminals and they should be prosecuted, sure, but they're not like, it's, to me, I don't know, punishment fits the crime. They shouldn't be treated the exact same as like every other criminal. So like, you know, like one dude goes out, you know, with like a machete and he beheads like 9 people. Okay, now that guy, you take him down and then you take him to prison or whatever. Guy's trying to like, you know, flee into the United States, and he's got like, you know, he's got kids and he's got his wife and they're carrying luggage and they've got dolls and like, you know, they've got water and foodstuffs. And then you arrest him and the mom, but then like you just cart the kids away. I'm like, hold on. I mean, like that's not the same kind of criminal.
Isn't that basically kidnapping? Like, but legally, apparently.
Well, I mean, it's like, I get it. Here's the thing. It's like, I understand the thought process, because they're criminals. They should go to jail. But like it shouldn't be like every other jail. You see what I'm saying? You do understand what I'm saying? So like, it's not like
and I agree.
It's not like, you know, like okay, so you cross the border with your family because for whatever reason you just cross the border with your family. So we're gonna take you, we're gonna throw you in the same fucking prison that we put like, you know, serial killers and rapists. No, you're not the same goddamn kind of criminal. I mean, it's not the same. You're not. I mean, realistically, you're not even that much of a criminal. 90% are sending the kids over alone. In which case, take the kids and throw them into a fucking, you know, like a juvie center, and then in which case, your kids are probably going to get a better treatment than they would in fucking Mexico anyway. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I mean, because like these detention centers for juveniles should be just absolutely fucking like up to their eyeballs in schools and all that kind of shit. And if these kids are coming over with the notion of like, you know, wanting to become American citizens, they should open up those detention centers to basically raise these kids to be ideal Americans. If that's the case, if we're gonna separate them like that, if these kids are gonna come over alone and you're like 9 years old, take them in the detention center, and then essentially indoctrinate them into American culture. Fine, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, if that's what's going on. I mean, what else?
If that's true, the only thing that I have seen on the news is that, like, you know, there are parents that have been cut from their kids. Now that's fucked up. But at the same time, if they are sending children over, if these children are being taken, they're put into juvenile centers, those children need to be given an education on the ways of America and being essentially streamlined to become American citizens. In which case, no problem, because I feel like that was probably the original intention anyway.
Right. I mean, and at that point, it's a blank canvas. I mean, they're just, you know, darker skin than we are, or some of us, you know.
Stare.
It depends on how much sun I get. I don't know. That's a pretty tough problem. I mean, and I agree with you, Frank. That's probably the way to go about it, or maybe even set up a whole different program for it. But it's
sure, it's been happening forever. I mean, like ever since, like, you know, America's become like an incredible superpower. People have been trying to like find some way to get in.
Sure. I mean, because most of the rest of the world sucks, and I mean, I'm not saying, you know. Look, I'm probably gonna get backlash for that, but like geographically, most of the rest of the world sucks. I mean, it's shitty living conditions, it's corruption, it's death, famine, disease, you know, you name it. So they want to be here. They want what we have, and you know, we won the lottery being born here, you know, so that helps. But that being said, we're a country founded upon diversity. We're a country founded upon immigration. So that goes back along the lines of when we were, you know, trying to deny work visas, trying to deny what was it? Not clemency. Was that the right word?
Asylum.
Asylum for refugees. You know, I don't know. That's a whole nother can of worms. Like. That topic has already come and gone, and it's still happening, I think, and I still think it's getting battled upon for like in courts and stuff.
It is.
So
And of course it became a left talking point because it's inflammatory. I mean, like like you can take any kind of law that has been controversial but hasn't really been talked about a whole lot, and either side of the aisle can like agree or disagree with it, and it can be used as an inflammatory statement. So let's just say, like, for 30 years that we've been separating families from people that have been coming over from any country, regardless of country of origin, and Department of Homeland Security, ICE, or whatever. They separate them because that's the present protocol. Now all of a sudden, let's talk about the protocol and let's make it like something that we can just absolutely make the most inflammatory statements about possible, regardless of validity. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. I mean, but that's to abolish. That's so stupid. I mean, it's border control.
yeah, it's necessary. Sometimes it's a necessary evil, unfortunately, in my opinion. I get why we need it, but I don't know. Personally, when it comes to immigration, I think the difficulty to get into America is way too high. Like when it comes to doing it legally, like the whole process to get into America takes a fuck ton of money and a very long waiting time. So of course people are gonna find easier ways to get in here. Who can I marry? How do I sneak in and just get a green card? Like they're gonna try and find easier ways to do it because the legal way is way too fucking hard. I'm sure people do it all the time, but not everybody can afford it.
It's funny to me that that any discussion about abolishing first the notion of abolish icing, ICE would be the dumbest thing fucking imaginable, because it's like I did it for Canada. It took me 18 months.
That's a long time, but yeah, good for you.
It's funny that any discussion about it would even occur, because it's okay, so it's it stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It's Border Patrol.
Yes.
So you want literally no one on the border. Is that what we're talking about? We want literally no one out there. That's bonkers bananas.
Right.
So I mean, like, what so it's like and here's the thing, that makes me infuriated about the present political climate. Is like, so you have something like that's going on, like so the some of these families got separated. Okay, so then we don't like that. We should change that. Okay, rather than changing the policy, you want to add a bomb the entire agency. What?
That's a fast twitch,
I'm like,
knee-jerk reaction. It's not. It can't be done. People want easy fixes, and there's no easy fix.
What? Yeah, it's like, where's your head at on that? I mean, like, what do you possibly hope to gain by destroying an entire branch of the government like that? Short of if ICE was pulling people out of vans and gunning them down in trenches and ditches and just bulldozing over them in the desert, okay, abolish the system or abolish that particular department. Right. That's not what they're doing. That's not even halfway what they're achieving. So I mean, it's like, so what's your end goal? I mean, are you gonna beef up Border Patrol? Are you gonna make sure that Border Patrol has the rights and everything else? Yeah, I am a millennial though. I totally think like that.
I'm a millennial too. But Frank and I will differ slightly on what the solution is for this, but I honestly think, it's not an easy solution. The current method of getting into the country legally is too difficult. If we could fix that, then we wouldn't have to worry so much about the illegals, in my opinion. It took you 18 months to get into Canada, or get into the U.S. from Canada, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the dedication to the cause. It shouldn't take that long. To the cause of becoming an American citizen. I appreciate that.
America!
I appreciate that. But, I mean, what if you're poor? What if you... Sorry, hold on. What if you are poor, and what if you don't have that kind of time? What if you're being persecuted and you have to get the fuck out of the country and get to a country that doesn't suck so much? Well,
that's part of the asylum part.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, you request asylum and then you work on getting your visa. To my understanding, that's my understanding about how like you're supposed to be able to do it. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, ideally, it should be like if you're fleeing persecution, you can seek asylum and then you can come into the country and then hopefully not be murdered in the process of you becoming an American citizen. I mean, he and I do differ very greatly whenever it comes to the notion of border patrol and border control. I mean, people that are criminal should be dealt with severely harshly whenever it comes to the border, because to me, in my view, they're a foreign invader. Again, it's like my example that we were talking about earlier about Arizona. Cartels come over and they kill American citizens. Okay, well then we should probably kill all of them. We should treat that particular cartel as an invading foreign power, and we should annihilate them to every last man. And I don't think that it should really be that much of. To me, it's not that much of a no-brainer. You just kill everybody, and then when nobody is left standing, nobody is able to come over and thereby infringe on the rights of American citizens, which I hold to be much more important than the lives of criminals. Now, do I think that the process is incredibly difficult? It took you 18 months to get through. I think that that's incredibly difficult, although I do think that there are some things that you should be able to work with in order to help you become legal citizens. Or even if you don't become legal citizens, there should be something that you're able to do, and it should be some incentive for people that hire illegals to have those people be responsible for taxes in some way. Because if you're going to have, if you have a workforce that's almost entirely composing of illegals, you should either be severely penalized for doing so, or we should have some kind of system set up so that they are forced to have a bank account, and you as their employer are forced to pay them into that bank account, which has its taxes deducted automatically, so that you are effectively getting a head count, and that we are getting paid for them existing in this country and not subsisting off of simply making money and then sending it to another country, which is one of the major problems that conservatives say that they have. Are we in every night? No, we're on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We do a lot of streams, though, throughout the week. We do a lot of streams that are video game and podcast, video game related for the most part. But the bright side is that it's usually me streaming, and I am always interested in talking about politics and whatever, and I have tons of opinions and everything because I'm an asshole. But I mean, if one of the biggest problems that conservatives seem to feel is that we have people coming into the country and then they work and then they take American money and then they send it back to, let's just use Mexico as our example. So Sure. They make a bunch of money, they send money back down to Mexico. So if you have a system where you can pay you effectively force business owners to pay a bank rather than paying the individual. You can't pay them in cash. If you pay them in cash and you're caught, it should just be flat out jail time, which I think it already is anyway. But some kind of incentive for them to be able to pay a bank so that we can effectively take taxes from whatever that person makes, so that even if they do send money to Mexico, we get a tax portion of it.
Right.
So we can make something on it. It's not just a flat drain, because that way we actually have some kind of income for it. And then if we and then it also works out for the bank, because as soon as you deposit money in the bank, that the bank immediately starts accruing interest on it. So the bank wins, the government wins, and then the worker wins, regardless of whatever the worker's intentions are about, staying in America and then becoming a citizen, or going back to Mexico or wherever. And hopefully the incentive there is that, you made this money here, it was easy, and you took care of yourself, and you took care of your family. Do you thereby, by simply doing that and being more open-minded about it, could thereby increase relations between the two countries, being like, we're not going to take your citizens and then completely dick them down and then throw them out in the desert and repeatedly arrest them and break their kneecaps and shit like that. We're going to take them in, they're going to be able to work, they're going to be able to make some money, we're going to make some money off of them, then you are going to get money from our economy, you thereby, especially in Mexico's case, we have hopefully a better relationship, trade increases, blah, 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 blah. More money, more goods, America makes more money. I think what I think is messed up is if you come over with refugee status, which I did not, and you cannot work for 3 years. Does that make any sense? No. I guess it depends, because I know for the most part that I know that Germany is having a lot of trouble with refugees right now. And I don't think I would want them, I guess, like out and about in the community for a while until like I see how they react to being in another community. It's like taking a beta fish and throwing it in another fish tank with somebody else. And it just goes completely fucking insane and just starts killing everything. I mean, that's more or less what they're having problems with. To my understanding, in Germany, I know that the German citizenry is not real super thrilled about it.
Didn't France have a problem with it too?
France did have a problem with it.
Yeah. See, I mean, I'm all for bringing in refugees.
You know what's great though?
What?
America hasn't had a problem with it. There are refugees in Idaho, and they haven't had a fucking problem.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah, what is that? I mean, like, look, okay, real talk though. I imagine that they were probably given a pamphlet of, you should probably mind your P's and Q's. Idaho's loaded with guns.
Yes.
They know how to use them, and 3 hours away is the national headquarters of the KKK. So I'm just saying, maybe kind of keep your shit together. Stay in your own little insular groups. Don't get, I know you don't know who Patrick Swayze is, but be nice. Be nice.
Don't get nutty, buddy.
That's all. Don't get nutty, buddy, because I mean, like, somebody will kill you. we don't want that. Okay, I mean, like, look, don't use France and Germany as a fucking building block for behavior, because you will die. They don't have guns there.
You came here to get away from this kind of shit.
Yeah. You don't take that, then you make it here. I mean, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So, like, so far, I'm actually really happy that, like, the refugees that we've had in America have been, to my understanding, so far, have not been, bad. Just
Right.
go bad.
Yeah, man. It's we can go on for hours about all of that. I mean,
Everything. We can go on about everything. We have so many podcasts that you can go back and listen to about all the dumb shit that we love to talk about.
yeah. Okay, so we've been doing this. Okay, let's. Obviously, we stopped talking about protesting.
Democratic Party organized the KKK. Do you think so? Because they seem a lot more conservative.
Yeah.
That's not even a judgment call. I mean, I'm just saying that, like, it just seems like they'd be like a lot more conservative. Because they're a lot more like, my country, love it or leave it, or like, these colors don't run, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't think it was. I don't think the Democratic Party would, number one, claim credit for it. Number two,
I'd like to read the reading on that.
Yeah.
I'd like to cite the sources just so that, like, I could, like, kind of get an understanding of, like, like where that statement comes from, because I think that could be a very fascinating read.
Yeah, I mean that would blow my mind for sure.
I would be fucked up. I'd be like, really? I mean, like, so, like, you're telling me. Talk about playing, but okay, let's total off on Tangent Way. Okay, here we go. Are you ready with me? Are you ready? Take my hand. Right. Take my hand, Neil. Take my hand. Okay, here we go. We're going. So you're talking about, like, a political party that's basically, like, built its entire life. These colors don't run in 1983 by the Democratic Party. Shut up. Was it really? I just say that. That's before I was born. I don't even know. So we're talking about, like, a political party that basically specializes in the manipulation of basically, like, the hoods and ghettos. Oh, good, man. That was a good one, because I was like, oh, are you fucking serious? Wow. Wait, are we talking about that KKK thing? Please tell me we're not talking about the KKK thing, because I was just about to tie it all together. Oh, I had a whole thing going. So, like, talk about, like, so I'm gonna do it anyway. So talk about, like, a complete, like, political power move, though. So you have, like, a political group. Talk about a political power move where you could take a political party that its entire power base, and there's a lot of P's in this sentence I'm trying to construct, that specializes effectively in more or less maintaining controls and or getting its vote system from the ghetto, the disenfranchised, minority groups, the LGBT community, literally everything that the KKK fucking hates. And then on the flip side, you have the Dems that run the KKK that openly fucking hate everything else that they do, and the Dems, and they don't even fucking know that they're being owned by them. Oh my god, my mind would be blown, because then they're like, because you have like some Dem who's like like some senator or whatever who's like he's in with the KKK, but he's also in with like like the black community, being like they got a lot of Confederate statues in Charleston. I think that we should probably pull them down.
Discuss.
And then they're like, so then the KKK's like, they can't touch General Jackson. I'm gonna come fight somebody, load up the pickup truck, get the stars and bars, we're gonna kill somebody. And then on the other hand, then you got like all the the Antifa guys and being like, we're gonna fight all the white people, and they all get together, this spray big cans and their Molotov cocktails, and it becomes this giant fuckboy fest, and it's glorious and how fucking effective it can be.
Of course, dude, that'd be like
just like you own everything. It's like playing Monopoly by yourself.
No,
I mean it's not even fucking fun anymore.
That would be like owning a bakery on this side of the town and then buying another bakery on that side of town, owning both of them, naming them something completely different, and making one have a Hillary statue over here, and get a Trump statue.
I mean, you're playing both sides against the middle, and it's incredibly effective.
And you're just
if that was true, I would be like, you know what, I'm voting Democrat because that's so smart. That's so smart, and it's so organized. Because look at the GOP and the fucking conservatives are running around chasing their dicks. I mean, they don't know what the fuck is going on. If the Dems are literally so organized and they're so smart enough to be like, we are going to fight everyone, and thereby we're going to win. And then it works.
Dude, that's Peter Baelish shit right there.
Yeah, I mean it is. Which didn't work out super good for him in the end. I have a serious question. If Trump is reelected, how do you think the left will do? I don't think he's going to get reelected.
I don't think it's possible at this point, even though we didn't think it was possible for him to get elected in the first place. But I don't know. I mean, I think the protests won't stop. They'll only get worse. I mean, if he keeps going at this rate, there probably will be an impeachment of some sort.
I don't even know if he's even going to make it out of the first one. I'm not even talking about like alive. I don't think he's going to be I don't know if he's going to be president for the whole time. Because he's effectively ruining all of his own chances.
Nice.
He's effectively ruining all of his I know he's got that crazy just got out of the bath hair. He's ruining all of his own chances, all on his own. So I mean, like, the Dems don't really have to do anything. The reason why the Dems didn't even win the first time is because they had probably the worst possible choice.
Yes.
For the worst possible choice for a representative, and then they pandered to the worst possible group. So then you had the demographic that's least likely to vote, and then you had the worst possible candidate for those people who actually did vote. And then you spent the entire election year alienating the people that you thought were going to be effectively the other team who might have actually voted for you, except for that you treated them like shit the entire year. So why would they? I mean, you're been a dick the whole year. No one's going to vote for you. That's right. How popularity contests go. But then you have the other guy who says all the right things, true or not, doesn't matter. And then all of a sudden you realize when you look at the demographics, you're like, huh, that's like 80% of the country he's pandering to.
Yeah.
Oh,
that are pissed off.
Oh, and they have jobs. Oh shit, and they vote. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Maybe we did the wrong thing, because I mean, say what you will about Trump. So he's an idiot. Sure, he says a bunch of dumb shit. Right. And he's orange, and that's weird. I mean, a grown man over 75, and he's orange. It's bizarre. He has no medical condition. He's just sprayed on, and that's weird. He's got that flock of seagulls haircut, which freaks me out. But then you have, on the other hand, you have Hillary, who is effectively a documented criminal.
Yeah.
A documented Wall Street-backed criminal. So you're like, okay, well, this doesn't feel like it's really... Oh, and you're going to talk shit about me the entire time. You know what? Fuck you, I'm voting for Trump. And I think that's how he won, because it was like... I honestly think that, like I said earlier, it was he is the protest vote gone too far.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That's a good question. Dr. Napa. As I am sure you know, Trump is next going to push getting rid of EBT, aka food stamps, for people that are able to work. How do you feel about this? Personally, this is from the more liberal view. I think the people that do work that don't make enough money to make ends meet should have food stamps and should have some sort of government assistance. Just because, I mean, I don't know, man. You work 40 hours a week and you still can't fucking pay the rent on a one-bedroom apartment. You know, I mean, it blows my mind that that's actually a thing. You work at Walmart, for example, 40 hours a week, sometimes with overtime, and you still can't fucking make ends meet. You look at teachers, for example. You know, go around town here, Frank. I've ran into teachers at Walmart that are working there
Yeah.
part-time. Ran into teachers at the bar, bartending. They can't fucking make ends meet. They drive a beat-down fucking Volkswagen. They need help. That shit is... You can't just pull support away from people that actually need it without fixing the problem as to why they need it. I mean, why do we have teachers that can't make ends meet? Because we keep on slashing education. Why do we keep on doing that? Because who cares? That's tomorrow's problem, you know?
Tomorrow's problems today.
So, yeah, go ahead, Frank.
I just, you know, I think kind of along the same lines. You're the first person to actually say that she was a criminal as a leftist. I mean, I don't know if I would call myself a leftist, but I still think she's a criminal because, I mean, whenever you can document it up to a certain point, I mean, like, you know, call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Bitch did some hokey shit. I mean, like, whenever you're like being paid substantial amounts of money by Wall Street investors to effectively tell them about how much money they're going to make whenever she's a president, you are insider trading of the highest disorder.
See,
So
Frank leans a little bit more to the right. I lean a little bit more to the left, but I completely agree with that assessment. I mean, when I spent some time at the polls, I went for Bernie at first, but then based on all the shit that Hillary did during the election alone, I mean, not to mention the, you know, questionable shit that she probably should have been thrown in jail for.
the dude that gave some information out or whatever about something that wasn't even relevant about her, or he answered some questions about like one of her her campaign things,
Yeah.
and then he fucking died.
He died.
He was not. It wasn't even just like oh man, he had tickle, and so he went and found out at the doctor that he had colon cancer, and then he died. No, he was shot to death outside of a fucking convention hall. The man was murdered. I mean, like, yeah, they just stopped talking about it. I'm like, no, he gave information away because the police asked him, and he died, and no one was fucking talking about it.
She pulled a Putin, dude.
This man is dead.
She pulled
This
a
man is
Putin.
dead, and no one wants to say anything.
So yeah, that's why she fucking lost the election. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like
She
that
lost.
to me that wasn't even hard.
she lost because she's fucking crazy. I mean, she's dirty. I mean, okay, so, you know, a lot of people were saying, well, you know, Trump's so bad and this, that, and the other, and, you know, Hillary would be worse. You might be right. Because, but...
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. So we're effectively sold out. That he's got the little that's not a cyclic anymore. The little red, white, and blue for Russia on his arm patch. We know he's bought. Okay, we know that now. We get that. Fine. But we know
Right.
Hillary would have sold us like that. I mean, like the Clinton Foundation would have been like flying a flag over the Stars and Stripes, and we'd be like, "What's that about? Don't worry about it." I'm a little worried about it, though. I am a little actually worried about it.
Listen, that's the thing, is she would do a fantastic job of trying to justify it. And I'm not even saying, like, being facetious. She would do a fantastic job of making you buy the bullshit. The problem with Trump is you can't buy his bullshit because it smells too
outlandish.
much like bullshit.
It's noticeably bullshit. I mean, like that's the thing. I mean, because he doesn't, you know, like that's part of the art of politics is that, you know, you don't say things that are just openly nonsense. I mean,
You softball that shit in there, man.
you got to be like, you know, it's like if you spend a little time watching, you know, well, any really watching the news. I mean, like, and then just see like the whataboutisms. He doesn't really do that. I mean, he does, but he doesn't do it as often. And it's usually about something completely insane.
Yes.
And so it's like, and you're like, well, Mr. President, I mean, you know, it's pretty much been decided that Russia involved itself in this election. I mean, you know, and then he's like, yeah, but I mean, but did they? It's like, yeah, they did. Confirmed by fucking like literally everyone on the goddamn. You are apparently, if you are being legitimate, you are like the only one on the planet who doesn't know. I'm blown away by that. But I want to answer the EBT question. So let me answer the EBT question.
Go.
I think that EBT is actually necessary, like Neil said, because we have a lot of haves and we have have-nots, and then we have people that have a shitload of money, and we have people that don't have any money. And then if you're working 50 hours a week and you aren't making enough money to actually fucking eat, pay your rent, you do need assistance. And if you're one of those guys though that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you, you don't have a medical condition, you have both of your legs, you have both of your arms, you have both of your eyes, and you're not working, and there's like an unemployment, like there's high unemployment in your area. No, let's say there's high hiring rates in your area, which is something that I believe that DES is actually able to keep track of, whatever you call it in your region. So then if they have a whole bunch of vacancies of different jobs that you are perfectly qualified for, whether that be like, you know, road construction, cafeteria work, or whatever, and you've been on the EBT program for like, you know, 8-9 months, yes, you should be cut off. But I mean, like, should it be done away with completely? I don't think so. I mean, it really, this is why it's important to have DES, so that you can have people in the area to look at it and be like, no, I think that this one's fine. Or like, you know, no, you know, Eric has been on you know, he's been on EBT for like, you know, 7 months, and he's applied for one position at McDonald's, and he said that he was a heroin addict and he couldn't work there, when he's completely clean. You know what I mean? Like, clearly Eric's full of shit, so, you know, cut him off. That's why you have these people that are able to make those decisions.
See, here's what I think about decisions like that.
A few Facebook ads.
Here's what I think about that. Like, when you're talking about pulling away from the more liberal side of things, such as government assistance, the whole socialism thing, whatever, you really have to look at the end result, like the grand scheme of things, not just the fucking principle of it. There was a long time, or a very loud uproar. Oh man, people with that are on welfare or food stamps shouldn't have iPhones, or we should drug test all the people that are on food stamps. That's more of it's a principle thing. It's not fair, you know. Fuck that. It doesn't matter whether it's fair or not. What matters is, if you pull that shit from people, are you going to have droves of homeless people littering your area now? Are you going to have, if you start, you know, if you don't make, you know, first 2 years of college free, which, I mean, it's not right now, are we going to continue to be a less and less educated society? I mean, you want to look at the grand scheme of things, not just, well, I don't like it. It's not fair to me. No, look at the result. Like, be able to look beyond today, maybe even the next week, and be like, this is a good thing, we need to keep it, because human nature says we will have nothing but homeless people littering the streets, and crime will go up, and education will go down, and so on and so forth. So I don't agree at all with the knee-jerk reactions, the oh my god, so and so at the drive-thru got my order wrong, how hard is it to you got mad one day because somebody making less money than you had a nicer thing than you. Just fucking get over it. You know. But we have these discussions all the time about that kind of stuff. It is infuriating to see, especially when you've got somebody in front of the line of you at like a Walmart with 6 kids and buying, you know, lobster dinners and shit. Yeah, it's infuriating, but that's not the norm. I mean, it happens once in a while, and it's super infuriating to see, but it's not happening all over the fucking place. Most people actually do have a moral compass. It's It's the few that you run into that stick in your mind and piss you off that make you want to change the fucking law.
Yeah, because like you never even noticed the other ones.
Yeah, exactly. Because most people have shame and they're not gonna fucking be like, look at me on food stamps, you know? Like they're not gonna do that shit.
Whenever, because I've been on unemployment repeatedly, you can kind of tell. That's the self-deprecation is real. So, well, you know, whenever I was making it though, like, you know, it was always between contracts, and so I mean, like, rather than, you know, being like, you know, like, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna spend all this goddamn money, it was just like, I'm gonna do like I do with all the rest of my money, and let it pile up.
Yep.
Because that's what I do.
I mean, you use it wisely. You use it the best you can, and you make it fit what you're trying to do, so that you can get out of your situation. I mean, most people don't want to be on food stamps. There are a few lazy motherfuckers out there that will just fucking ride that shit as long as they can. And yeah, they make the rest of the people on food stamps look really bad. And, you know, you can't punish the entire group for the one person. I mean, that's... What's that called, Frank? What form of government is that? This one person ruined it for everybody. What is that?
I don't know.
Is that a form of government? Is that a tendency of a certain form of government?
You're gonna have to repeat the question.
When you punish one person, or punish the entire group for one person, that's like fucking elementary school.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like authoritarianism. Be like, so like we have one person in an entire group. It's like you have like one guy in your neighborhood steals a loaf of bread. Well, obviously you burn everyone alive.
Yeah, I mean,
whoa, hold on.
It's honestly almost racism.
I mean, like, you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and just destroy this entire city block because it smells.
Right here.
Pick your yeah. You walk by like an open sewer hole cover and be like, well, that's just filthy. Jenkins, bulldoze this area. I'd be like, damn, that was harsh.
Yeah, I mean, the knee-jerk reactions to abolishing this and abolishing that. Listen, there's only one thing that I can actually think of that we have in this country that needs to be abolished. And that is for-profit prisons.
That's high on my list. That would be if I was president, first of all, I'd be a terrible president because I would become an autocrat before the ink's even dry. And then, I mean, like what? I'd be the guy in there because like rather than being like, you know, like Orange Hitler, I'd be like, so rather than being like, you know, hey, which one of these buttons pardons me and my family? I'd be like, which one of these buttons makes me dictator for life? Which one of these causes the which button do I push on this table to make the Constitution just burst into flames?
See, that's how you would make a good chief of staff.
We're like, what do you mean we're not waterboarding anymore? I don't know how to live my life unless I waterboard at least 3 people a day.
Listen, you keep that shit in the Oval Office. I talk to people, not you.
It'd be rough. I'd be the chief of staff who's literally like just like round robin, like who buys an apartment across the street from the Pentagon. Just going in being like, so guys, what are we getting into today? Who are we leveling today?
See, it's talk like that. That's leftist talk right there. That's socialism talk right there. But you know what? I don't disagree. He says, I think there should be something to mention no matter what you make. If you have kids, you should get them until you're 21. Just my opinion. He's talking about food stamps. I mean, that would be nice. Because it's fucking hard to have a kid right now. Especially, okay. Another tangent. We gotta cut this off soon. But I just gotta say this real quick.
We got 10 minutes, dog.
It is really hard to have kids when you're not poor. Like, you gotta be like, all right, okay, so how am I gonna budget this? Okay, fuck. I mean, I got a pretty hefty tax return. That's cool, but okay. But if you're poor, you don't gotta pay for shit. The government pays for everything. So like, might as well have like 6 kids. You know?
That's one of the things. Thomas Sowell wrote a book based almost entirely on that, where like he calls it the the culmination of the welfare state, which he blames almost entirely on the left, and it's basically the notion that we have decided as a society to reward especially low income communities with the idea of propagating. You a Bernie supporter?
He is not a Bernie supporter. I've never seen this man in my life. I don't know what. He just touches my testicles periodically.
Gross.
But like it was the idea that we have in the 60s and 70s we decided that we are going to propagate the notion that if you have a certain amount of children, then you are going to be supported by the government simply for existing. And then the way that you make money is by having kids and continuing to have kids effectively until death. And so, in the 60s and 70s, it's becoming a problem where we're like, hey, we're going to support all that. And then Vietnam hit, and then the Republicans were like, hey, I've got a good spot for all those kids that keep propping up that we can't do anything with and are being a huge drain. Let's draft them. And I'm like, super. That's not probably the answer they were looking for. I imagine it was probably more like education, job
Draft
prospects.
And put them in a war that
Draft them, throw them into
soldiers.
throw them into Vietnam and let them get shot to pieces. That's not a good solution, y'all. I'm just
See, that's a very
I'm
roundabout
thinking with my head here.
Thanos way right there. Very roundabout.
It's not though. That's a repeatedly proven historical method. When you get to a certain amount of population, a certain amount of territory used, a certain amount of resources used, and then you start looking at your population and you're like, what can I do in order to alleviate the burden on the people who are the highest producers? Remove the people that are below them, effectively the human chaff that are below them, in order to make it so that the middle and upper class can grow more effectively and we can have a less stagnant society. So what do? You talk to the other nation, and then you have a fucking war. They call them proxy wars. And that has happened. It happened in China, it's happened in Russia, it's happened repeatedly throughout like the greater now Confederation of Russia. It happens nonstop in Africa. It's happened throughout human history. If humans have been together for any length of time, there have been wars specifically for that unique purpose. And it's heartbreaking because it's like there has to be a fucking better way, especially now. This is goddamn America. We shouldn't have to do shit like that.
Right.
We have access to the resources. We have access to the land. We have access to the education. But for whatever reason, for people's own fucking misguided selfishness, they've decided that rather than propagating the country on education, science, understanding, philosophy, and culture, we've decided, nah, we're just gonna keep it down. More for me and less for you,
Yep.
because America is defined by its shiniest pillar, and that's going to be fucking me.
And that's the thing. Is like
It kills me.
it's unsustainable in the long term because eventually there's going to be a whole lot of them and very few of you. And,
Here's the thing.
Well, I mean that's how it
Go
is
ahead.
now. But
Here's the thing. You look at Louis the 15th. Where is he? This guy's goddamn head cut off. That's where he was. You know why? Because he flaunted his fucking wealth in front of the people who had nothing. Because, what happened? Well, we kept propagating you guys to go to war because there were so many of you, and then you brought riches back, and then you gave it to me, and then I taxed you, and then I taxed you, and then I taxed you, and then you fucking killed literally everyone because you can only push a culture so far before it pushes back.
Yeah.
And then and that's the thing that kills me about watching some of these politicians being like doing the more for me and less for everybody else. They have this You've been fun to see you tomorrow, Tom.
we usually
Jesus,
start at 11 Eastern time.
Yeah. This doesn't look like a Subnautica stream. Did you not change them? My
I
God.
changed it.
My God. So what the fuck was I saying? So then you have like this this notion that seems that these politicians have that I'm going to be protected by the military, the Secret Service, etc. Even though like all of my nefarious deeds, it doesn't really make any difference because I have them to protect me. Except for that, just like in the French Revolution, they're forgetting that those people are consistent with the demographic that they're shitting on. Because soldiers, Secret Service, which are usually either former soldiers or current soldiers, they have families. They're either middle class or they're lower class. They're never going to be the upper 1%ers. You know? So it's like, who do you think they're going to side with? Do you think they're going to side with the bourgeoisie who are going to pay them, or do you think they're going to side with their families? And that's exactly what happened in the French Revolution. Because you have these soldiers that King Louis, etc., and all the other French aristocracy were like, well, no, they'll protect us, and then they're like, my sister just starved to death last week.
Kind of tired of your shit.
So I mean, and then all of a sudden, you know, some baron's eating a bayonet. You know, and that's exactly how I mean, if they continue to push, you know, society and culture, even in America, even in this day and age, if they continue to push it like that, that's what's going to happen. I mean, the military were the first ones to turn around, and all of a sudden you see a bunch of senators being dragged out of Capitol Hill and being put against the wall.
Yeah.
You're welcome, y'all, because that's what's going to happen.
This is how you get revolutions.
You should be eating chopped by fish. I agree with that, because they tickle my no-no square. They're so fancy and slimy, and I like them when they're in my wetsuit. They wiggle all about.
Listen, that's another conversation for another time.
No, that's one of my many fetishes.
All right, let's wrap this baby up. All right, folks. Well, this has been fun. We typically don't get political, but it's hard not to anymore. I mean,
This week was really rough.
It's
This
really,
week was really rough not to get political on.
But I think you're going to be seeing a whole lot more of it, because I think we've got it down to a science to not A, get pissed off ourselves, and B, piss off a whole lot of people. I mean,
Oh my god, I used to make him so mad. No,
it wasn't me.
So good.
It just, for me, it blows my mind how some people think, but I just have to come back down and be like, all right, let's think the whole thing, you know. But
You know what? And I would like to point out that I went this entire political discussion and I didn't say one time that we should crucify anybody.
that's not true.
I know. I never said we should crucify anybody. Not once.
No, you just said, never mind.
There's a
back-
difference.
Go back and watch. So anyways, if you like what you saw, like what you heard, please like, rate, comment, subscribe, especially subscribe, so that you know when we go on next. We typically podcast Wednesdays and Thursdays at about 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern. So we're all over the place. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. You know, hook up with us there. Shoot us an email at mail@dashthegentleman.com. Join our Discord. The details should be down below. If you want to keep the discussion going, I might even make a whole another channel just for talking about shit like this, to keep it
Talking about politics?
away from the people that don't want to hear about it, because they're afraid.
You stink of fear.
But yeah, so we will see you next time. See you later.
Bye.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh.